Welcome back to the Hoops Lounge. We're the show with more All-Star appearances than Damian Lillard. My name is Marc Griffin, aka Montreal Marc. I can't talk properly. I'm joined by my man, Sporting Phil Boileau. Today we're not talking Dame and his pouting, but we're going to talk about Andrew Wiggins, the great Canadian wonderkind, and his ascent to what's slowly becoming NBA royalty his rookie year in the league. Phil, what about Andrew Wiggins is really standing out to you right now? We're in February of his rookie season.
Well, I think to me, the number one thing is how everyone was just dead wrong with his not only work ethic, but his killer instinct. He's been attacking the basket at will. His coach has really been pushing this. His slide to the two-guard position has greatly benefited him, having Shabazz Muhammad play the three, so he doesn't have to have the more physical defender. But you know what? Right off the bat, he's understood that a 3-and-D guy has purpose in this league, so his jump shot is absolutely beautiful. There's some writers who think he can be one of the, up-and-coming great shooters. It would be interesting to see having someone in a three-point contest and dunk contest, aka the man you just mentioned, Damian Lillard, in Andrew Wiggins. And I think in every aspect of his game, he's improving month to month. He's won Rookie of the Month every month this season. There's nothing not to love about him. And for once, he was a number one pick. He was deserving. And as good as Joel Embiid or Jabari Parker could be, I don't think, I would say the Cavs won't regret it because they have Kevin Love now, but I'm sure the Minnesota Timberwolves are happy to have him.
Well, I mean, for me personally, I don't put much stock in Rookie of the Month this year just because there's such a huge number of rookies injured and just kind of it's just been this kind of a wave of just injuries and whatnot, and Joel Embiid on downward. But Andrew Wiggins absolutely has been deserving of this award regardless if these guys are there or not. One thing that's really stood out to me is the month of January. As we were saying, he keeps progressing month to month to month. If you compare his stats from January to the stats of LeBron James and Kevin Durant during their rookie years, literally the same high just numbers, like basically 20 points. He's filling up the stat sheets not just offensively but defensively as well. One thing I thought was the turning point for him was the matchup he had against LeBron James last week in Minnesota, which was supposed to be the return of Kevin Durant and Mike as well. But it turned out to be a situation where I think Andrew quieted the critics and just really went right at LeBron. What did you think of that game?
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole hype was Kevin Love going back to Minnesota and seeing how that was going to play out. But obviously, the showdown was between LeBron James and Andrew Wiggins. And I thought, outside of giving up a decent amount of weight to LeBron James, which I think is going to be a focal point in his offseason, with Andrew Wiggins gaining another 10, 15 pounds to be able to play that three or to match up against more physical defenders. But I thought he had the confidence. He went back and forth, had 30 points in that game, and he played, to me, really good defense. He made LeBron work for every one of his points. I mean, LeBron's one of the best players, if not the best player in the game today, so having him score 30 points is not that out of the norm. But I thought his presence there, his ability to man up, not be scared by the situation, showed a lot of poise. And, compared to the other guys that you mentioned, he may not have the personality that sells a lot of tickets or is right there with the interviews where LeBron James did from an early age. And he's also playing in Minnesota. You could argue Cleveland, I get it. But at the same point, I think he's just going to have this quiet progression to being one of the best players in the league. I mean, every one of his facets that was seen as a weakness is being worked on, and you're seeing that upward trajectory. I think it's going to be a while. Like, I think comparing him to LeBron James, I think they're very different players. I more like the T-Mac with a little bit of defense role, but at the same point, I think his poise up against, the former MVP showed a lot for his future.
Yeah, and in terms of his personality, I agree. I think he's very misunderstood. To me, the best comparison really is Tim Duncan. They have that kind of quiet, stone cold killer persona that really shows up more in the stat sheet than what they see on the court. An important facet of how Andrew Wiggins is going to grow this year is the return of his point guard, Ricky Rubio. What do you think that means to him and the Timberwolves going forward?
Well, I mean, anytime, especially in a point guard-driven league, you can get one of the best passing point guards. I remember we've had a conversation about this off air. Where to me, Ricky Rubio perhaps is not the best driver or shooter out there, but he's a bit of an underrated defender, and he's young and can pass. So anytime you have a passing point guard, it's going to improve your stats. He's going to find him more easy open shots. And with the progression of the rest of the team, I don't think it's just him. I think Kevin Martin being back takes pressure off him. I think when Shabazz Muhammad is fully healthy, him playing the three like we saw is definitely going to benefit him. And a bit of development in that front court, having Pekovic back to maybe draw a little bit more attention, because we forget that Andrew Wiggins was doing a lot of this with very little help. I mean, people could argue he had to take the shot, so that's why he was putting up all those points, but he was putting up a good percentage, and he had almost no help, so all the focus was on him. So I think it's going to do nothing but help him. I think his percentages are going to stay high. I think because of Martin and Pekovic, we're going to see maybe the 20-point games won't be as common, but I think we're going to start seeing a more well-rounded game that includes better percentages, and we can also look for his defensive stats and potentially rebounds to go up because of it.
Yeah, and another thing in Andrew's defense is that defensively he has been willing and wanting to take on the best scorer on the opposing team. That's something I think really ingrained in him, that he's a dog defensively, and he really wants to attack that way. He doesn't back down. And I'm going to wrap up with one last question. It's one of those what ifs, and I know you love what if questions. How important is this what if of him being traded from Cleveland to Minnesota? Do you think this has been the most important, the best thing for him to happen in his career?
Well, I often feel torn about this question, because there's part of me that thinks playing next to LeBron James with zero pressure would have allowed him to progress slowly. But I think that was more when I was worried about his personality, not liking the limelight. Whereas in Minnesota, he's the guy already, and so he's getting the opportunities. And having that personality, well, we didn't think he had it before. I think Minnesota actually is the better situation. I think if he would have been in Cleveland, I think he would have learned a lot, but we'd be looking at him at the end of his rookie contract putting up subpar numbers, because there's not a lot of rock to share with Kyrie and LeBron and Tristan Thompson and the rest. So I think we're seeing a quicker upward spike in his potential now, but I think it was all predicated on his mental ability to join the NBA ranks.
And not to understate this, but I think it's really great that he's playing in the Western Conference, where he has that much more competition on a night-to-night basis. Just as a final thought, Andrew Wiggins announced in a press conference yesterday that Team Canada will be hosting the Pan Am Games this summer, competing for the Olympics, and very likely that he will be competing on Team Canada, which is important for our country, because it's very difficult to get Canadians to play for our national team, especially when it's not an Olympic year. And it'll be nice to see him and other guys compete for the team. And next weekend, he will be playing for Team World on the Friday night Rising Stars game. Him and Kelly Olynyk will be Team Canada, from Team Canada, facing Team America. It's going to be really interesting, and they got some pretty interesting jerseys to wear as well, so that'll be something to look forward to. Andrew Wiggins, Rookie of the Year, very likely and very much on the ascent to royalty in the NBA. Phil, I want to thank you for being on the show today. And check us out on hoopslounge.com, on facebook.com, and on Twitter @hoopslounge. See you soon.
Later, guys.